U.S. journalist Don Lemon taken into custody by federal agents. Iran FM says ready for nuclear talks on equal footing. China to lift restrictions on UK lawmakers, PM Starmer say. Trump says, hopefully, no need for military action against Iran. Burkina junta to dissolve all political parties. U.S. journalist Don Lemon has been arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles in connection with a protest in Minnesota, authorities and his lawyer confirmed Friday. Arrest details. Lemon, a former CNN anchor turned independent journalist, was taken into custody late Thursday while in Los Angeles covering the Grammy Awards, law enforcement sources and his attorney said. He is one of 4 individuals arrested in connection with a January 18th protest at City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota, where demonstrators disrupted a worship service as part of anti-immigration enforcement actions. Allegations and government position. Federal officials, including Attorney General Pam Bondi, said Lemon and others were arrested over what they described as a coordinated attack on the church. Justice Department sources tell Reuters that Lemon is charged with conspiring to deprive civil rights and violating federal law by allegedly obstructing access to a place of worship, including statutes such as civil rights conspiracy laws and the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances (FACE) Act that also covers interference with religious services. Lemon's response and First Amendment concern. Lemon's attorney Abby Lowell called the arrest an unprecedented attack on the First Amendment, saying Lemon was acting as a journalist documenting the protest, not as a participant. Press freedom advocates have criticized the arrests as a potential threat to journalistic freedom, arguing that reporting on protests is constitutionally protected. Iran has said it is ready to resume nuclear talks with the United States, provided negotiations are conducted on what it described as an equal and fair basis. Speaking at a joint press conference in Istanbul with Turkey's foreign minister, Iran's top diplomat Abbas Araghchi said Tehran would participate in talks if they respect equality between the two sides. He reiterated Iran's long-standing position that it has never sought to develop nuclear weapons. The comments come amid heightened tensions between Washington and Tehran, as well as renewed diplomatic efforts by regional and international actors to prevent further escalation over Iran's nuclear program. China is set to lift travel restrictions imposed on a group of British lawmakers, Prime Minister Keir Starmer said on Friday, allowing them to visit the country. Starmer made the announcement during his 4-day visit to China, the first by a British Prime Minister in 8 years, aimed at improving bilateral relations despite continued tensions over issues such as human rights and espionage. He said he raised the matter directly with Chinese President Xi Jinping, who confirmed that the restrictions would no longer apply. Starmer said the move would allow all British parliamentarians to travel freely to China and highlighted the importance of engagement, even on sensitive issues. China imposed sanctions in 2021 on 9 British individuals, including former Conservative Party leader Iain Duncan Smith, accusing them of spreading what it called false information about alleged human rights abuses in Xinjiang. Starmer's office said the UK would not lift its own sanctions on Chinese officials in exchange for the move. Some of the sanctioned lawmakers also said they opposed any deal that could weaken pressure over human rights concerns, particularly regarding the Uyghur population. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Thursday he hopes to avoid military action against Iran, even as tensions remain high over Tehran's nuclear program and threats to U.S. military forces. Trump told reporters he plans to hold talks with Iran and would prefer to resolve differences through diplomacy rather than force, saying a large U.S. naval force is heading toward the region but expressing hope it will not have to be used. He did not specify when negotiations might take place, but stressed the United States is in contact with Iranian counterparts and urged Tehran to negotiate a deal. Diplomatic pressure and regional caution. The renewed emphasis on talks comes as Iran has threatened to strike U.S. bases and aircraft carriers in response to any attack, in remarks reflecting heightened risk of escalation. Russia has also urged Washington and Tehran to resolve their differences through diplomacy, warning against the use of force that could destabilize the Middle East. Burkina Faso's military government has announced plans to dissolve all political parties, whose activities have been suspended since the junta seized power in 2022. The decision was announced after a cabinet meeting and follows years of restrictions on political activity under Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who took power in a coup in September 2022. Political parties had already been barred from holding public events, but were still allowed to operate internally. The presidency said the government believes the large number of political parties has led to abuses, deepened divisions among citizens, and weakened social cohesion. Territorial Administration Minister Émile Zerbo said a draft law to dissolve all parties will be sent to the Transitional Legislative Assembly as soon as possible. He added that the assets of dissolved parties would be transferred to the state. The government said the move is intended to preserve national unity, strengthen government action, and prepare the ground for reforms to political governance.